Time. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another special edition of NATS Chat. I'm Cheri Reagan, and we're happy to be here with my special guests, Cheri Montgomery and Dr. Dawn Padula, and of course, Alan Henderson again. And I'll introduce Karen in just a moment. I just want to give everybody a second as we start here. There is a text box and a chat box that you can open. And I'm going to ask everyone to please hold off on your questions. It got a little crazy on Saturday, and with so many people on this chat, the same thing might happen. So please hold off on your questions for a bit. When we get to us, because we'll answer a lot of them, I hope, as we go along. And when we get to a specific topic that seems reasonable for you to ask that question, then please feel free. And we love you all, but please hold off on all the highs and thank yous for now. It just populates my question box and it's a little overwhelming. So thank you for that. What else do I want to say? There is a handout that Cheri has graciously given you. So if you see her little handout box, click on that and you'll see her handout. There's also a couple polls that Alan has set up for you. So you can see those polls and answer those, and at some point we'll take a look at that. So I think that's all some of the ground rules here. And before I turn it over to Karen for a minute, I want to once again thank our Executive Director, Alan Henderson, for his incredible leadership through this COVID-19 and the hours and hours he's spending on behalf of our profession. So thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Karen, go ahead.
Great to see everybody, or I don't see you, but great to be seen. And one thing that I wanted to do just for a couple minutes is bring us up to speed with some of the things that have been going on behind the scenes with NATS. And one of the big things is the strategic plan. This is going to take 1 minute of our time. One of the things that we've done is talk to many NATS people and have them review the strategic plan. And all we're going to show you right now is just the vision, the mission, and the value statements, just so you can put it into your hearts and minds, and also so that you can think about how this really does go with these wonderful online sessions that we've been able to immediately get into action with and help our constituency with it. So let's just take a look at what Alan has put up here on the screen. We are many voices, we all have one passion, and it's singing. And so our vision now is that we came up with these sayings through many emails, thousands of emails and conversations and meetings online like this and phone calls. Our vision is transforming lives through the power of singing. Our mission, which is a change from the mission statement we previously had, is to advance excellence in singing through teaching, performance, scholarship, and research. And what I really want to touch on today is our value statement. And we're all NATS, we all value each other, and we're committed to doing all of these. And I love the graphics in the circle below. So we are here, and it says, if you notice, it's support, provide, advance, celebrate, encourage. That spells space. And that's going to help us all remember this wonderful idea of support within the studio, classroom, clinic, and performance venue. Provide committed leadership to achieve our mission and vision. Advance ethical principles and practices in our profession. Celebrate and recognize the value and efforts of all, and encourage individual skills and creativity. Boy, that is coming in really handy right now as we gather together, and as we did on Saturday, and we will again this week for another session about vocal pedagogy. So enjoy this session. We are here for you. Please check out our Facebook pages that have been put up and are really populated with a lot of wonderful ideas and information for you. And on with the good stuff that we have as singers and that we can share in this medium. And thank you to all of you for coming, and to our presenters today too. I'm going to click off because I need to take notes and learn, and I will look forward to seeing you all maybe on Thursday night too. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. All right, so let's dig into our topic, and we're going to start big picture, and then we'll work into smaller details. And let's start with a little bit about the platforms. For instance, at the University of Washington, we use Canvas as our platform. What is at your universities? Cheri, do you want to go first?
Ours is called Brightspace.
Brightspace.
At our university, we have a combination of Canvas and also we have a G Suite, so a Google Suite that's available.
Mm-hmm. And Alan, you mentioned one as well, but yours.
We use Folio, which is a desire to learn product, which I think is also Brightspace, if I'm not mistaken. They have multiple brands associated with them. But I also use a lot of Google Forms and Google Docs and that suite of things in my class fairly regularly, along with some other things we'll talk about. I forgot before we go on about our big announcement tonight. And it's a biggie because we were talking the other night, but for you Android folks, it's here, okay? And if you go to appcompass.com, right here at the top, early release version now available. Details here. Now, Karen, don't go away. Don't leave this thing just because you're dying to download it on your Android phone. We've been working with App Compass. They've been working really hard to get this version up for Android users, and it has about 50 exercises and a little more than, I think, 50 or so songs on there right now. And those were taken from a long list of the most popular songs that people have sung at NATS events in the last couple of years. So they're working as hard as they can to get a full version out. And this version will be free until they get the new version out. So that's it. I just wanted to make sure everybody knew that it was there and it just came up. So we're the first to announce it. Okay, onward.
People have been waiting for that. So as far as platforms, I'm also seeing Moodle and Blackboard as a couple others.
Yeah, there are lots of those platforms. We talked about them the other night a little bit, and you can go watch that video if you really want to know about some of those that people are using. And we've also set up some Facebook groups for people who use a specific platform. And if you go to the NATS Facebook page, I think there's a post there. But you can also look for any Facebook group because NATS does, Moodle, NATS does, Zoom, NATS does, and if you want to join one of those are just being populated. And we're still getting moderators set up for those. So if you go ahead and join it, at least you'll, when people start posting things, they'll come up on your feed.
Okay. Okay, so John, do you want to, is now the time you'd like to show us a little bit in the canvas that you're using? Would you like to orient us a bit?
Oh, sure, that's fine. So let's see, do I need to make myself a presenter?
I can do it for you. There you go.
Okay.
Apologize.
So I actually use PowerPoint in order to disseminate my classes. And here's an example of a PowerPoint. I do use Cheri's books, so it's very exciting to be on a panel with Cheri. And in addition to that, so for Canvas, I actually use it to organize the course. Excuse my little fun homepage there. So the course is organized through assignments, which are populated into a calendar, also homework assignments, and when quizzes and tests are. There's a Gradebook function, which is really very nice. There's the modules where I have everything organized, so the syllabus is there and then all their lectures are there. You can hide things at certain points if you don't want them to see things anymore. I tend to keep the lectures up so that they can download them at any point. My semester is organized into German and French diction, so we're just now stepping into French diction. So you can see that I have both French and German diction resources here. And then There are sound and video examples. Some of them are my own and some of them are from Spotify. So these that have external URLs, if you click on them, they just go to a Spotify playlist. And the students can play them from their Canvas. Also, just pull it up in Spotify as well. So I found it to be very useful. The calendar is also useful because they can see if they have multiple classes in Canvas, they can see in a color-coded way what is due for their particular classes. And it shows up on the right-hand side what their classes are. This is from the student view. It's different from my view, but I'm showing you from the student view what they see. So that's Canvas. Is there anything else you'd want me to show at this point, or?
No, I think that's go back to what your other. I think you had just your PowerPoint.
Oh, the PowerPoint, yeah. Yeah, I just organize everything into a PowerPoint. So like this is Cheri's unit number 2 for French diction. It also coincides, and then the coinciding pages from the Tom Grubb book, and just going along. Yeah,
So,
and we could, yeah.
So for you, this was already built for you because
Right.
you did this in your diction class. So for you, it's very easy now to just share your screen through
Exactly.
Zoom. Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Great.
And in addition, it's nice because in Zoom, if you do it this way, if you decide to organize your class this way, you can see that you can embed sound examples into your PowerPoint. So let's say, we're looking at page 16 of Cheri's book, and we're reading through the translation and the IPA that's in her book, and then we can listen to a sound example right there while we're looking at the translation in the original French. So it's actually useful that way as well. So this might be the time that you decide to start organizing your classes into PowerPoint. That might be a way of making things a little bit easier for presenting. That's not the way, but it is a way. So it was a decent transition for me just because I did have those PowerPoints ready. But so that's just, one suggestion.
We have a question, Dawn, for you specifically. Is your class completely online? Joined the chat a little late. I think you were just answering that, but why don't you speak?
Yes, we transitioned. We're in the Seattle, Washington area, so we actually transitioned to online last week. This week is our spring break, so I got a chance to try out 2 classes this way, where we were given 24-hour notice to move things online, and I just decided to try Google Hangouts Meet for the first one, and then I had used Zoom for the second. And we can talk more about those platforms, but I definitely preferred Zoom for my particular purposes. So, but I've already dove right in.
I'd love to talk about those platforms at some, because both you and Alan have mentioned the Google Hangouts, and I don't know anything about that. We have a question about does the Google Slides function the same as a PowerPoint in Canvas Zoom?
I don't know about the Zoom. My husband is also a university teacher. He used Google Slides for one of his classes. I believe he used it in Google Hangouts, and it was a similar function to PowerPoint. He has not tried that in Zoom, but he did try it in Google Hangouts, and it did work the same way.
You can, if you need to, you can download any Google Slides as a PowerPoint file. So if you created it in Google Slides and you download it to your desktop, it asks you, do you want to download it as a PowerPoint or anything, or some other function. So don't worry about which format you have it in, because you can, if you're using Google products, you can load it up and translate it either way.
So Google Slides, you guys, is just like a PowerPoint. It's the Google version of PowerPoint. Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Let's keep moving forward. Anything else about platforms at this point?
I just think there are pluses and minuses to every platform.
Right.
We all, no matter what university we're at or what mode we're teaching in, there are things we like and there are things we don't like about it. So the things we don't like, we find workarounds for.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's what I use my Google Docs for. something I don't like. I personally hate the gradebook function in Desire to Learn. Most people hate the gradebook function. My wife teaches accounting. She loves it for her classes. But I mean, I think for Diction especially, everybody does a little bit different, and it's hard to calculate. Cheri's going to talk about why are you even bothering grade these days? And we'll get to that in a minute. But so I just I have an Excel file that I keep my grades on, and it's got formulas in it, and it's got everything calculated for the semester, and that's what I was using before. So I've just kept using it, and there are some things because I just found out yesterday that I'm teaching the rest of the semester online after I come back from an extended spring break. So, I'm just kind of doing triage, and, I'm going to have a mixture of things going out, and we'll talk about it in a minute. But, I think we're all in different places, and so we just have to decide what our plan is for the rest of the semester, if that long, depending.
Great.
And I'm a big fan of pen and paper. Gradebook works.
Yeah, I have one of those too.
Is there a preferred platform for ADA compliance, specifically for sight impaired students? I'm getting that question from someone.
So something we tried both in Google Hangouts and also in Zoom is there is a it's for for sight impaired. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's fine. I wasn't sure. There is a closed captioning feature for the for both of those platforms, and that's for hearing impaired. So I'm not sure of the answer to that question.
I was just somewhere, I can't remember where it was, and maybe it'll come back up when we go through the rest of the presentation, but I was just on one platform where it had a sight impaired function where it read everything to you.
Okay.
So it was kind of nice. We'll run into it somewhere along the way.
Well, let's work through a few questions before we move forward. Gradebook Pro app, which we're going to talk about apps, is wonderful for grades. Somebody is just saying that. Gradebook Pro app. Thank you, Melinda. Alyssa Raymond is saying Canvas keeps track of all the grades. Teachers can assign a specific percentage to each type of assignment, just in case.
They all have gradebook functions in them. It's just a matter of whether you want to use it or not. And so, and everybody calculates their grades different ways. So if you have a real simple grading system, the gradebook's real easy. If you tend to be a little more complicated in your grading system, then sometimes it takes you a little more time to get it set up.
Hope Thacker is answering the question about the ADA. Each university should be able to provide the required ADA needs. Check with your IT or distance education staff members. Kimberly Davis says, are we being asked to specifically use Canvas for grading? Any suggestions? No,
So
I don't.
You are being asked. Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh,
so,
are you being asked?
No, Kimberly is being asked, so she's.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. Actually, I think I can shed a little light on that because I do use the Canvas Gradebook. It is actually nice if when you're setting up. Let's go back to Canvas. So when you're setting up your, let me get into the. Here we go. This is my view. When you're in your course and you're setting up your assignments, here, as you set up your assignments, you can actually set up each one for a point value. So let's say, like I have a certain percentage in my syllabus for particular things. So the quizzes are a certain percentage, the exams are a certain percentage, the performances, assignments are a certain percentage. And as you put the assignment into your into the assignment tab here, you can organize them all and then give them all a point value. And then what that does is, I'm not going to show the gradebook because I don't want to show my students' names. But when you go into the gradebook, it actually groups everything together by type of thing. And then it puts all the point values there. And so all you have to do is load in the point values, and then it keeps track of the student's grade throughout the semester. So they can see their grade. You can keep track. You don't have to do any math at the end of the semester if you've set it up correctly. And then what this does also is this also populates the calendar, which is actually very useful. So if you put everything into, if you've put everything into your assignments, and then put the points value there as you're setting up an assignment, it will put it in the calendar. It'll also put it in the gradebook. So it's
Wow.
very useful. Yeah.
Dawn, do you have, and we maybe will come to this in a minute, but somebody is asking about, can you show PowerPoint slides in Zoom? And I'm wondering if you just want to pop in and show that now, Alan. Do you think it's a good idea?
Yeah, I guess we can.
Okay. Yeah. We're going to zigzag, I think, a little bit, guys. So you're just going to have to be patient.
What happens is, if when you start, I don't know if I can start a Zoom meeting right now, but basically when you start your new meeting or you schedule a meeting.
Yeah, go ahead and hit new meeting.
Okay.
You can.
Then it shows you.
So if I share my screen here, and one important factor is that if you're going to be playing any sound examples on Zoom, you want to click both of these things down here at the bottom, because then you'll be able to hear your sound examples correctly, or otherwise Zoom will clip the sound. But this is the best way to share any kind of sound that's embedded in your PowerPoint, or even anything from your computer. So then when you share your desktop, which I will do here, and I'm showing my desktop, and then when I go to my PowerPoint here, I can just start at the beginning of my PowerPoint, and voila, you're showing your actual PowerPoint through Zoom. I can get to the sound example towards the end here, so you can maybe hear just an example of what that sounds like.
No.
No. No. Let's see if this works. Something like that. That might not have worked because I'm not in Zoom with all of you. But hopefully that's useful.
Thanks, Dawn. It's really useful.
Yeah.
I just want to we're getting quite a few questions for people that are asking if we're going to get around to different things about teaching lyric diction in the private studio.
Yep.
Yes, right. I believe so. Right now, we're really trying to orient, I think, to some degree, our academics who are going to have to teach this online. But I'm certain there will be lots of useful information. So stay tuned. Where do we want to go from here, Alan?
I think next we're going to talk about conversation apps, and that is me. So lots of people are trying to think about, I want to change the presenter to me if you don't mind. A lot of people are like, okay, how am I going to do this when they're not in front of me? So obviously we're already talking about Zoom and some of those things. And sorry, let me change myself to the organizer. And so we have lots of options, but I think the key concept that we want to get across to everybody is that in serving your students, whether you're doing it in an academic environment or not, especially when we're talking about video and audio, we have to be cognizant of the fact that not every student has an unlimited data plan on their phone. So this is tricky. I know we've all had students trying to record lessons and things like that, and I see them, oh, I got to hurry up and download this into my folder on my computer or my Google folder or whatever, so that it frees up my data. So you just want to be cognizant about that, no matter what you ask your students to do. So let's see, I'm gonna see if I can jump up here to a couple of things, and we'll kind of run through these fairly quickly if I can find them all. We're gonna run through Marco Polo. Okay, is an app that we want to show you, and I think I left that place on my computer, so I'll just talk about it for a minute. Marco Polo is a conversation app basically. So you download it, it's free. You make a recording, and or you join all your students just like you would Facebook or any other thing on your phone, and you can set them up as a group if you want to, and so you could send out something to the whole group, or you could send out something to just one student. You could say, I want everybody to send me their recording of the complete Diction, okay, by Friday. All right, and so after the panic sets in, then they start working on that, and as you give them a deadline, and as they're done, they record a video, and it comes back to you, and it notifies you when that video is there, but you don't have to watch it right then. It's not like they're calling you on the phone. You just go to it like you would when you check your messages, and you can view that recording, answer a question if it's a question, grade an assignment if you want them to do that. So Marco Polo, the nice thing about Marco Polo and a couple of these is, of course, that they use the internet, and you can use them on Wi-Fi, and they're not using data. So this is a way for your students to record things and not use up their data. And Marco Polo conversations can be quite long, and so I'm not sure if there is a limit on those, but I'm sure there probably is, but it's not been a problem. Some people use WhatsApp, which is another similar application. The thing about WhatsApp is that on average, it's only about a 3-minute video that you can make. So if it's something short, if you don't have long things that you're asking students to do, WhatsApp can work good. So that's the video recording on WhatsApp. It also has, of course, texting capability and all of that. Another one I want to mention to you is Flipgrid. Now, Flipgrid is really big in, I've lost my place where I had it. Flipgrid is really big in K-12, and it's similar to the others, but the nice thing about Flipgrid, and it's free it's a free application as well, and you can use that on desktop or on the phone or tablets, is that you create your group, and you can send a little assignment to them on it's basically like a card that you create, and I can say, what is the most difficult problem you faced in Diction this semester so far? And that question goes out to everybody, and they answer it by talking to you and sending a little video back. So I can send out specific assignments that they need to respond to in writing if I want to, using Flipgrid. And again, it's free for the students and the teacher. Of course, they're sending video from your phone, so low tech. You can record a video, set it from your phone. Again, of course, that's using data, so sometimes that's hard for students, and so you want to be careful about that. But obviously, that's an easy thing. You can have them make videos and put them in Dropbox. You can have them make videos and drop them in a Google folder, and that kind of thing. So, and then of course there's FaceTime, live things as well. So we can do FaceTime, we can do Zoom, we can do coaching on live coaching in any of those media and using any of those tools. So some of these, I think, applications are things that people that are kind of on the ground now trying to figure out what to do are easy things. They might just pull up, download. Like I said, all these apps are free, so it's not going to hurt you to download them all and try them with a friend or a colleague and see what works and decide if one works better for your specific purpose.
Alan, is Flipgrid capable of live feedback? Brian Coonert is asking this.
I don't think so. I don't think you can. I mean, you can send a video to a student, I think, using Flipgrid, but I don't believe it has live capability. I may be wrong about that, but I don't think it does. It's more akin to Marco Polo or WhatsApp, where you're sending something and they're sending something and you're sending it back.
And Byron Johnson is telling us that there's no limit on Marco Polo messages.
Okay, I didn't think there was, but I wasn't sure.
Thanks.
My wife talks an awful long time on Marco Polo sometimes, and I wonder. I think all of these things work pretty well. Now, another thing I do have up that I will show you, which I think I've been dying to use, but I haven't used it because all you Android people can stand up and clap. It's only available for Android phones. It's not available for iPhone, but it does have a website, and it's called Sounds of Speech. Is everybody seeing my? Yes, they're seeing it. So Sounds of Speech is a great app if you have Android, and it's at the University of Iowa, so it's soundsofspeech.uiowa.edu/ that's it, and then it'll bring you up to wherever you want to go. But the nice thing about Sounds of Speech is this, for instance, if I have a front vowels and I want to play E, you can see the articulation points and where, and there's some very nice maps, really nice visuals if you're, and you can sort these by the manner in which they're made, the place in which they're made, however you want to call it. All these things are in Cheri's book, for instance, in chapter 1. Or you can talk about voice and voiceless. So they're all here. Look at the articulation points. I think this is nice because, we can look at this. We can say, and we can say, that are similar in their articulation styles. We can show the pictures. They also have the video over here of a real person saying it, okay? And then you can look at different words. I think that's a really nice thing. And if you have an Android phone, you can just download it on your phone and have it in your studio.
Also, there is an iOS app, I'm being told.
Oh, there is now? Okay. Woo, I gotta go get it.
Just looked at Sounds of Speech, and they have an iOS app, and then
there you go.
Yep, I'm getting told that by a few people now.
Right,
Thank
cool.
you, Marietta.
It's a cool app. I will download it after we're done. And so I think it's really nice. Another, of course, there's always the YouTube, okay? And what I'm gonna say about YouTube is two things. One, if you're doing French diction, there's this nice channel, French Diction for Singers. Any of you have used it? It's kind of nice. He's a really nice guy, and he speaks the text quickly, naturally, and then he speaks it slowly. A little bit of over exaggeration in the forming of sounds, I would say, when you're looking at the video. But most of our students need that anyway, need that model anyway, because they never quite get their lips around things enough in French, for instance. So, and that's a whole, I've forgotten how many videos he has up now, but if you go look at that, you can tailor some of the things you might want to do. And of course, some of these texts I've used because they're also texts in Cheri's book, which I use for my class. And so I can do that. The other thing is the good old playlist. Now, some people, I think it took me forever to figure out how to make a playlist on YouTube because it is not obvious to make a real playlist. And of course, you want to have your own account that you sign into so that you're sharing, keeping all these things and all these settings. You can't even, I don't think, set up a playlist unless you have an account. So you have your own account, and you can, of course, save things all you want to. But what you do to make a playlist, if you're making a playlist for class, is you go down here. Can everybody see that? Sorry. Go down to the bottom of the video that you're watching where it says save. And if you click up there, I have several playlists, and I've stuck old Dietrich's recording in here in my German diction playlist, but I can also create a new playlist very simply. I call it whatever I want to, make it public or private, and create it, and it adds that. So then when I go to my German diction playlist, I have all of the videos that I've saved, or even ones I've uploaded myself in that. So when I'm in class, I can go right to that and play that. So for some of you, that might be a new trick. I don't know, but it's not an obvious thing, as you can see. It says, it's not sitting there waiting for you to say, create a playlist. And so it's a really good thing to organize some of the recordings you want to use.
Spotify is good too.
Dawn is going to talk about Spotify, right?
Go ahead, please.
Stop my screen.
Yeah, many students have Spotify accounts, and you can just do a similar thing on Spotify where you it's actually a little more intuitive on Spotify, where there's a new playlist button, which is very happy. Am I supposed to share?
I got you.
Okay,
go ahead.
Yeah, so if you're looking at Spotify, grab that. Here, you can just see where it says new playlist right there, even if you're in the home screen.
Sorry.
You just create a new playlist here, and you can title it, choose an image, give it a description, create. Then all you do is find things that you like. So there's a bunch of things here in my German diction playlist. But if you're just searching through Spotify and you're looking for something specific and you like it, here's Clara Schumann. All you have to do is click the little dots over here, and you say add to playlist, and then you just throw it into your created playlist, and there it is. It winds up over, there she is. So this is actually very useful. Students do love this. You can share the entire playlist here. You can copy the playlist link or embed a copy code and just send it to your students in an email, or you can share it in several different ways this way as well. So hopefully that's helpful as well.
Dawn, that's audio. Spotify is audio only. Am I
Spotify
correct?
is audio only, yeah.
So that might be, I was just trying to think, because this was great for song rep class. I'll be teaching French art song literature next quarter as well. So I'm trying to think, I'm not familiar with either of these, either the YouTube playlist or the Spotify. I've heard of them, but I've never set them up. Besides audio versus video, can you guys think of other, is Spotify expensive?
So there's a free account that you can have for Spotify. It does show commercials, which is probably why some students opt for the unlimited account, which is definitely a fee per month. So, but you can certainly, anyone can use Spotify with just a username and a password. But like most subscription services, there are limitations. YouTube, of course, also does show commercials unless you have the unlimited, I think, what's it called, YouTube Red. Yeah, so, but either way, they're both platforms are free for students if they can get around the occasional commercial.
Okay. All right, so I think we've gotten through apps as well. Let's move on to, do we want to talk, Cheri, do you want to mention the Kindle Diction book? Oh, I'm sorry, I muted you because we were getting feedback. My goodness, there, now you
Sure.
have a voice.
Sure. So you had a question about incorporating diction into the private voice lesson. And so I'm offering for this semester and through the summer, a Kindle Book for 99 cents of the Singer's Daily Practice Journal. If you'd like me to show that to you really quick, I could. Okay. I'm looking for screen sharing function.
I'll get it.
Thanks, Ellen.
Okay. So let's see here. Does that work?
It'll
Show
take
my
us.
screen.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. So the Singer's Daily Practice Journal is published in 3 volumes. Volume 1 incorporates vocal pedagogy along with diction. So they learn about vocal technique reading the concepts in IPA. And it's proper English, it's elegant English as recommended by Madeline Marshall. So that's volume 1. Volume 2 is musicianship along with diction and phrases in Italian, German, French, and Latin. And volume 3 is a very practical book in that it allows the instructor to incorporate English lyric diction along with the voice lesson. So it's well paced for a daily assignment for the student. It provides an independent study of lyric diction. And I'm offering that. I've turned that textbook into digital format on Kindle because I know we're limited on time. Many students are limited with their finances. So this is available if you go to the instructors page, or you just go to Amazon and look up the Singer's Daily Practice Journal. And that 3rd volume is the only one that's available on Kindle.
And it's only Kindle? There aren't other e-readers, Cheri?
No, just Kindle. So here I am on the instructors page at stmpublishers.com. If you want to view all of the volumes, really they can be taken in any order. It's not graded. It just highlights different topics. And I thought for this time period, it would be really helpful for instructors to know about a resource that allows them to incorporate diction in the daily studies. So here I would click on this link that takes you to the Amazon textbook, and here it is for 99 cents. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
One other thing I forgot to mention is one of the things I already said something about the survey, didn't I? But
we need to
show that
launch the poll, Alan, for them to take it. Do you want me to?
Need to what?
We need to launch it. It looks like neither of those polls have been launched. Do you want me? Do you want me to do?
Go ahead. Y'all go ahead
Okay.
and talk. I'll fix that.
Okay, so we're going to do a poll real quick. What primary text do you use for your diction class? So y'all could fill it out. Poll in progress for attendees only.
And if none of these are on yours, there's a second one that we'll do in a second that you can do that on.
So looks like it fluctuates. So approximately 52% Montgomery, 30% Wall, 17% Adams, 2% Johnston, and 20% none of the above.
Wow, guys, thank you.
I'd
Then
love
we
to
can
know.
go to the second poll, because some of those 20% probably might be on the second poll.
I'm trying to, okay, I'm going to close that poll. All right. Oh, I feel so fancy, Alan. All right. What primary text do you, part 2, what primary text?
It's the same question. It's just different, different textbooks.
Go ahead if any of you use
Should
that.
be. Yeah. These are just some others if you're using any of these other ones.
Okay, so give or take, changes second by second, but 15% Grub, 10%, 11% Moriarty, 19% LeBouf, 7% Marshall, Killarney,
You spelled that?
and then none of the above.
All right, great. That gives us kind of an idea, you know, what people are using. That's great.
Thank you, guys. That's exciting. That's our first NATS chat poll. I think we haven't used that feature before. So that's exciting. A couple quick questions before we move on, or statements. Hope Thacker is telling us that Spotify is free and is fabulous for Songlit Rep, and for Diction listening. It's $5 per month for students who don't want commercials and to have pro version. I'm not, that sentence isn't quite complete. And somebody is saying that they use Wall, but only because the university insists they do. They would use Montgomery if they were allowed. Okay, good. Odom for German.
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, guys, let's keep moving. I know there's a lot that we want to get to with Cheri. She's got a whole bunch before us. Do we want to briefly talk about other equipment?
I highly recommend the iPad. I use it all the time in every class, whether it's in person or online. This is a first generation old iPad, and it works great with Doceri, which is the app that I recommend. You can get this for $19. So I bought one for every student in my classroom to loan out. Great deal. Other equipment, document camera as well.
Tell us about that a little bit, Cheri.
I recommend the IPEVO product. They are the lowest grade brand is $50. I like the Step Up, it's $99, well worth the investment. It's high resolution. You can see the smallest details with IPEVO. It's a moving camera, a video camera. And it's just a great product and worth the investment. And there is a link on the document that I've sent you to share that gives you the camera that I recommend, that I've used in my classroom.
Great. So everybody, if you haven't noticed it yet, under handouts, if you just open that up, you'll see a wonderful, generous document that has been shared by Cheri. Hopefully you can all open it. Somebody just asked what's the name of the app you just mentioned?
Doceri, D-O-C-E-R-I. In Italian, docere.
Yeah.
Docere.
Okay. All right, so let's get down to some nuts and bolts about teaching in the class, making the content, taking it online. And Cheri, do you want to take it over a little bit here?
Sure, I'd be glad to.
I think you have control still, yep.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so my goals are to create an interactive online learning experience, number one, and to encourage student accountability. So what I'll be sharing with you can be found on my Facebook page. I share free resources from time to time on my Facebook page as much as possible, and on my website. So Cheri Montgomery or CheriMontgomery.com works for me. So here's what I recommend. Number one, work from a laptop. Number two, get a document camera. Get a document camera. This makes your life so much simpler. 3, download Zoom Pro. 4, download the Doceri app. And 5, prepare unique assignments for each student. So I'll go back over all of those again. So you want to work from a laptop. Let's see here. It doesn't have to be a touch screen. So what are the advantages? A laptop has ports for the external mic and your document camera and anything else you want to add, any hardware you want to add. You just have so much more flexibility with a laptop. Use a document camera. So I like the idea KISS, keep it simple, singers. I want to keep this as easy as possible because we have really the content to think about. We don't want to think about technology. Our minds need to be on engaging with students, engaging students with each other, and the material that we are presenting. So the advantages of a document camera: the image is not reversed. So how often have you been on Zoom and you notice it's a mirror image, and that doesn't work? Say, for example, you were to hold up a vowel chart. Well, phonetic symbols just do not communicate well in a mirror image. So the document camera is wonderful in that it shows the image the way it's intended to be seen, to be viewed. You can also annotate over materials that you value. Let's say you need to show some pages out of Grubb or Benlock or Killarney or Madeline Marshall's text, which these are my textbook authorities. You can place that underneath the document camera, and you can even annotate using dossier over the material. Say you want to highlight something or just show your place in the document or in the text. Now, here's one word of advice: visit your music library before it closes, because you may not have access to these valuable tools that the library gives us for long. All right, so next, download Zoom Pro. The Pro version accommodates 24-hour meetings. The free version limits you to 40 minutes. What are the advantages of Zoom? Zoom has annotation tools. The students are able to simultaneously annotate over your presentation. You can put up their homework and they can correct their homework. And they can also ask the instructor questions using the annotation tools. So that's a fabulous feature. Also, there's screen sharing and breakout rooms. Now, breakout rooms is an advanced feature. So that's something I'm going to look into when I get a chance. I think that's in the settings, advanced settings of Zoom. All right, so you're going to download the dossier app on your computer and your iPad. I'll show you how to do that. Dossier costs $30 for a lifetime subscription, and so it's well worth the investment. You'll use it every day in your classroom once you learn how to use it. So what are the advantages of Dossier? Easy annotation features that do not disrupt your video feed. So let's say I had a touchscreen computer and I started to annotate here. Well, then it would move my camera. So, and I don't like to annotate, in this direction. I like to have a workspace. And so the Dossier app allows me to work on my iPad. And what it does is it pairs your iPad with your computer and then gives you great tools. It never crashes. So I love it. Very trustworthy product. Let's see, also the last one is prepare unique assignments for each student, and that's what the Lyric Diction Workbook series does. There are many words. When you open the book, you just see lots and lots of words. Well, there's a purpose behind that. There are 12 word lists in every unit of all of my texts. So that is so that you can give each student a specific number at the beginning of the semester, and then they complete their work in each unit according to that number. So the advantage of this is that it accommodates interactive classroom design. So what you have there is that students are held accountable for their transcriptions, and they're also given the opportunity to direct and conduct the class when they present. So there's a heightened accountability, I believe, with this format, that you give the students the opportunity to present. All right, so what do the students need? They need their phone, their iPad, or touchscreen computer. So iPad, touchscreen computer for the student is best. iPhone works, but the other two are better. The reason the other two are better is they need a large space for annotating using Zoom. And then all they need to do to prepare for class is complete their homework, take a picture of it, and email it to the professor. So are you finding there are any questions at this point that I need to answer?
Thanks, Cheri. Most folks haven't used a document cam. Can you demonstrate?
Sure. Let's see here. I will do that.
I had that same
I need
question.
to share first. All right, so you'll see my screen here, and I can discuss that in a moment. Okay, so here's the order. When you start class, when you begin class, you need to do just a small amount of preparation to use these things. If you're going to use Zoom, open Zoom, whatever platform it is you need, you plan to use, you need to open that first. If you plug in the document camera before you open Zoom, the image will be distorted. So step one is open your platform. And then as you get into the classroom and you have your process or your daily routine, at the point when you need your document camera, then you can plug it in. So I'll plug mine in now. And the reason I waited is for that reason. I tend to put that last. Here's hardware. Forgive the delay here. My mouse is cooperating. Then I open the document camera. I mean, it's very simple. There's really not much to think about or do. There it is. Hopefully. Let's try this again. In the camera. Well, there's a reason I don't use a document camera in the middle of a presentation. You never know what to expect here. Let's see, try one more time. Let's see if we have it. Change that to document camera. Oh, yay, okay. No time like the present to have things not work. All right, so do you see what I have there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is from Diction class this morning. So what we did, and the image is quite clear, and it's so easy to just open the book and find your place in the book. So introducing new rules, we did this, we introduced new rules for prefixes, and then transcribe together. Now you can use pen and paper, that's easy and convenient, or you can annotate over this presentation. So I could show you how to use Doceri at this point if you like.
Yes, please.
Okay, let me move this down.
So in other words, it acts like, so because they would have their books open at wherever their location is, but this is a way of feeling like an active class.
It is, it's no different from being in your classroom. I feel no difference. In fact, it's even more intimate. I can look directly at the student's mouth without it feeling a little creepy. They can look directly at my articulators and see the formation without me feeling like, or them feeling like I'm invading upon them or they're invading upon my privacy. Mm-hmm. So it's a good way to connect. And the document camera is just like what I would use in class. So anyway, after that, I would open Doceri on, after you've downloaded Doceri, you want to open it on your computer. So I've pinned it here to the, yeah. So when you click on Doceri, there we go. The app launches. So you open it first on your computer. And what you'll see is a QR code. Still thinking about it. Then you take your iPad and you wave the camera in front of the QR code. It pairs the iPad with your computer desktop. And let me show you how that looks. I'll use my document camera to show you how that works. So here we go. Here's my iPad. I'll turn it on. Unlock. Okay, so here's the Doceri app. Click on that. You'll see this window. And click on through a computer because we're pairing the Doceri, you're pairing the iPad with your desktop. And then it recognizes, can you see that? It recognizes your computer. You click on that and automatically you're in. So I'll turn it this way so it's a larger screen. But what it's seeing is it's viewing things and multiplying them, duplicating them an infinite number of times. So it's a little tricky what you're seeing right there. An image of an image that's taking a picture of that image, and on it goes. So to start annotation, you would click on this right here. Let's see, I'll do it. I'll do that now. So here I am in annotation mode, and I select a pen. You can select the color, and off you go, transcribing.
Mhm.
Can you see what we're doing here?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, the instructor will use Doceri because of its convenience. They can use Zoom to annotate, but I just love having a nice solid work surface. So I'm going to stick with Doceri. And then the students can chime in and ask a question. So they'll use Zoom. They might have a different color and say, Ms. Montgomery, shouldn't there be a long mark there? And I would say, oh yeah, 10 points for you. Good job. 10 imaginary points. So yes, will you please correct that, Jane? And they'll say, yes, I would be glad to. So anyway, so we can work interactively. It's a lot of fun. The students can also be given, let's show you another idea here. When you're done annotating, you have to just press escape. And you're given the option whether you want to save your annotation or your work. And I always discard it. You can give students individual assignments. For example, I have desktops for each purpose. And these are also in the handout, these images. You want to set this as your background on the desktop just because it's more convenient. You still have access to your files. Anytime you move an image around and students are annotating, it's quite confusing. So I used this for German diction this morning. Each student has their homework numbers, so they have their space to annotate. Let's say I ask them, please provide a vowel chart, or show me the front vowels, and they can say, okay, and we can all do work together. What are the back vowels, and so on and so forth. Or I can pull up, let's see, here we go, escape, I have to erase that. Or I can pull up a document I've already created. Let's say it's vowel formations. And they can show me exactly what is the tongue formation of vowels. And you can see in this document, there's a number with each tongue. I've got 24 mouth shapes here, so we can talk about many different vowel and consonant formations with this one document. So if student number 1 had their Zoom annotation tools, they would do something like this to demonstrate tongue slope. So there are a lot of options, but the goal is to give everyone a different assignment. And then they share their work with each other. So we learn from each other, we learn from each other's mistakes, we learn from each other's successes, and it all starts a dialogue. And that's what makes the Diction classroom engaging and exciting. Diction is a very exciting topic when the students participate, in my opinion. So those are a few ideas. I could go into detail about the daily.
Let's ask a couple questions. Cheri, how about,
yeah, let's do some questions.
yeah, what's the difference between Doceri and connecting the iPad to Zoom?
Well, you're not actually connecting the iPad to Zoom, are you, Cheri? When you're
No.
you're
I'd love to
annotating.
know how to answer that question.
There's an annotation feature in Zoom, so you're actually in Zoom and you're using your finger to write on that. So
right,
you're not hooking your iPad into Zoom. Doceri,
exactly.
use an iPad for the Doceri app. So that answers that question.
Okay.
That's it. They're welcome to use Zoom to annotate. I just find it inconvenient because I like a work surface.
So I think it's important to say we've got low tech. If you've got a document camera you can use, then you put the book up there and you can use a pencil and do all your work and erase it for the next class or the next year. You can Zoom, which you might already be using for your class, and it's not going to be anything extra. Or you can get Doceri, and it's doceri.com. Okay, is where you go to it to download it.
Another
And it's
low.
for-
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I was going to
Go
say
ahead.
another low tech solution that I tried this week was, all the students have their books there in front of them, and say for example we're doing classwork exercises, and normally in class I would use a document cam. I didn't have one this week, but instead I would just call on individual students and say, number one, how did you write it out? And then we talked about it instead of actually having to show the writing there. So, and that worked out pretty well. And then if someone had a question about, it's supposed to be this, and then I could interact with the rest of the class and say, right, who remembers why it's this and not this? And so we're doing it. Normally we'd have the doc cam there, but it actually worked okay to not have it for that particular instance. So if you're feeling overwhelmed or it's a little, too much tech all at one time, you can still talk them through the classwork exercises and even the homework exercises.
And even they could even just present their list without showing their homework.
Right.
My daily routine is to have them come up to the lectern and present their homework and display their homework using the document camera for all to view. And then they sing their word list. So that doesn't have to change when we're online as well. And I can step you through that process too, if you like.
I also went back and looked at Brian's question, and I think maybe I should correct my answer. So she is using Doceri to connect to the computer on the document camera. And yes,
Exactly.
she's teaching the class through Zoom. So she's connecting to the class through Zoom. So technically, I guess, yes, it is through Zoom, okay, but you can also annotate just using Zoom.
You can.
Maybe that answers, hopefully that answers Brian's question better.
Okay.
I like to have the students use Zoom to annotate, and then me as the instructor use the iPad. There are many good reasons why the iPad is just more stable. You have the pen functions to me seem to be more flexible and choosing the font size, and I just like the way it works.
But it sounds like you were using a document camera before the COVID-19. That was part of your routine in the class. Like you said, you would have them come up to the lectern and use it so everybody could see. So this was an easy transition for you, it sounds.
It is. The only thing I added was Zoom.
Okay.
Even the grading process is the same.
Okay, that's great.
And I could step you through that one when we get a chance later.
We will do that, absolutely. All right, somebody already asked, does Doceri cost for the students? Thank you, Alan, for answering that. No. Does this only work on iOS systems? The students need an iPhone or iPad to use Doceri for annotation?
The students don't need to. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just going to say there's an Android app as well, I believe. It's not.
Oh.
I think. I mean, it's not iPad specific, I don't believe.
So just to make it clear, can I clarify one thing?
Yes.
Okay, in the online learning platform, the students don't need Doceri. I don't want to make that confusing. The students use the Zoom annotation tools. I'm recommending Doceri for the instructor because the instructor has plenty to do with occupied with their laptop. And I don't want to interfere with my laptop functions. That's why I pair the iPad with my computer, and it's a separate thing. And then I have a nice workspace, a nice large workspace. If I were to start annotating using my touch screen, let's say I used my touch screen like the students can, we're going to move the video feed. And that's not good. Okay.
Right.
You could also use the, if you got the document cam, you could use it and, just write on your book, if you wanted to, or.
It's the simplest. It certainly works just fine.
Yeah.
And clearly, somebody's making this statement about the DocuCam. Obviously, we're not expecting our students to also have a document during the COVID-19 so that we can share their work like you do in the class setting.
Oh, I can step you through that process completely. It's very simple.
go
Do
ahead.
it.
Yeah, do it.
Go ahead. Okay, so I'll go through the meeting preparation for the instructor, and I'll share my screen in a moment. And then it kind of is all incorporated in the process for the instructor, the process for the student, and the grading system. It's all kind of wrapped up together. So if you don't mind, this will be very simple, easy steps, a small number of steps. So meeting preparation for the instructor is simple. You save your students' homework. They're going to email you a picture of their homework. Step 1. Step 2, you open the Doceri app on your laptop and iPad. Step 3, you select a background for your desktop, and I'll show you those backgrounds. And step 4, you invite students to the meeting. That's it. That's all the preparation. There's no grading involved at all. And that'll take 5 minutes tops. Now, what is the grading system for this presentation-based format, which now is ideal? I only started to implement a test-free classroom model this semester. So it was a trial, and it worked out great because now that we're online, I just continue my same process. You can change over at this point easily. So here's how it works. There are no tests, quizzes, or exams. All grading is performance-based. And many students will welcome that because many of them are over-tested and overwhelmed with that. Not necessarily that learning has become the priority anymore, but that testing has. So I wanted to experiment with this and move away from it. So here's how the grading works. It's pass-fail. Grading is based on students' performance of transcribed word lists. So if they complete their homework, they send it to me on time. That is, they take a picture of their homework and email me that image. And then they sing their word list in class, they pass. This is a daily grade. Every failing grade is 1 point deducted from their final grade point average. So let's say right now you average all of their grades to this point that they've earned in your class. And you tell them from here on out, if you just complete my expectation, that is show up for class, complete your homework, and sing your homework for the class, this is your grade for the semester. And you can always, if this seems unfair, you can always give them extra credit opportunities. If, however, they fail to come to class and sing their homework list, that is just 1 point deducted from the final grade. Now, this is a suggestion, but so far it seems to work. It's so simple for the instructor. It's easy for the student. They are sufficiently motivated to complete their work with accuracy because they're presenting for their classmates. And there's also no grade sharing violation with this because the grading is participation based. It's also based on attendance. So here we have an easy process for instructors, and also there is no grading outside of class time, which I love. So what are the advantages? Also, I'm finding a lot of advantages for teaching diction online. This gives the instructors and the students the ability to closely observe articulatory formations. And I think I mentioned that. Also, I'm finding that I have more time. I just cut out 10 hours of drive time out of my work week, which is beautiful. So I have a little more time. Today, I kept my Zoom app open, and my class got there 10 minutes early. So I'm improving in attendance as well. They got there 10 minutes early, and they stayed 20 minutes late, just working together and completing their homework, talking, chatting, visiting, interacting with each other. So I love some of these perks that the online format is giving us. So here's I'll show you now. I can convert over and show you my desktop. Any questions though before I start that?
There's several, but go ahead and keep going, and then we'll go back and pick them up, I think is best.
Okay, I'm moving a few things around. So I get this right. So do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. All right, here's your meeting prep. Download the student's homework that they've sent you. Select a desktop background. Launch Doceri on your iPad and your desktop, and invite students to join your Zoom meeting. So I need to discuss the background, the desktop background. This is so nice and stable for them to annotate. This is what I use for German class today. For voice lessons, I select this image as my background, and for general annotation, I just select a blank dry erase board as my background. Let's see if you see that. Here we go. You will open, okay? So you will open each student's homework and have the student sing their word list. And they can correct errors during their presentation. So I'll show you my email file for students.
Cheri, someone's asking, can you please demonstrate?
I'm sorry?
Somebody's asking, can you demonstrate, please, the singing the homework list?
Sure. Yeah, it's intoning the list. So here's an example of an image that a student has sent me. Now I prefer a PDF, so I'm going to turn this into a PDF by Control Print and Print, and I'll name it Student. This is actually something that I took a picture of. Oh yes, I already have that. Okay, so I pull this up in the file. And I can easily navigate a PDF. This is why I prefer a PDF. Students can create PDFs using their camera or using their phone. So it's in the Notes app. So if they go to the Notes app on their phone, click on the camera icon, and then select Scan Document, they can create a PDF that's much easier for the instructor to navigate. And I've included those instructions in the notes that you will be sending out, or that are available to those NATS members. All right, so here's the students list, and this is similar to what we did this morning. The student would, I would open the student's homework, and I randomly select one of their 2 lists that I assign. Everyone gets 2 lists in my class. If there are 24 students, they still have 2 lists. Regardless of the class size, I want them to complete as many word lists as possible. The more we expose students to, the more we expose them to numerous words, the more they learn, and it's just exposure to the language. So they would get up and sing, "Ostere." See, there's a difference between the sung pronunciation of language and the spoken pronunciation of languages. We need to apply it. So this is practical application of lyric diction. And then they would sing, "Haler, ve, sore, evre, drapo, courage, berceuse." Is that good?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Okay.
That's a really wonderful addition. I love that idea. Thank you.
Now, a
It's
lot of people
practical
are probably like me, and they've just assigned like 1 or 2 pages out of each chapter for homework because they don't want to grade multiple versions. They want to get in their rhythm of grading the same sheet for everybody. You know, I love this idea just because, you know, Cheri and I have known each other for years, so I got to know how her mind works a little bit, but I could never figure out why she had so many, you know, exercises for everything. But there's a method to her madness in here.
I love.
And in a 50-minute classroom, you're in a 50-minute class meeting, you have a limited amount of time to lecture. And so this is about reducing the amount of time that the instructor lectures. I'm there to give them the basic concepts. They are there to apply them. And so when they stand up and they start to present their own work, accountability skyrockets. So usually they'll spot their errors while they're working. So here I'm pretending that I'm a student using Zoom, and and this is what happened today. The student would sing, auto, and they would say, oh, I made a mistake. And they'd go, oops, I messed that up. Fix it. They would go in and fix it. Auto. So and on. They can fix their errors that way. Or I can underline something and say, now why exactly did you transcribe this word with an X? Is there an X in IPA? And students can chime in and say, no, that's incorrect. And another student could participate and say, I'll fix that for you. So yeah, I like that part of it. It's a lot of fun.
That's great. Is this a good place to slip in some more questions?
Let's see, where am I at here on this? I want to make sure I've covered it. The meeting starts. Open the homework. I showed you my file. Connect the document camera, open the app. Did I mention that you need to connect the document camera after you open your Zoom? Yes, I did. Okay. Place your, and then after, okay, here's where I'm at. After you ask each student to present their homework, you're ready to do your brief lecture introducing new concepts. So that's when I pull out the document camera. That's when I introduce rules for enunciation. We try a few words, rules for transcription. We discuss that. Maybe I turn on to Siri just to underline, highlight certain rules. And then we transcribe. This is the last activity of the day. You'll spend most of your classroom time listening to students' presentations, sung presentations of the homework. And so let's say this needs some focus. So I've got a little icon here that will adjust my focus and improve it. There we go, a little better there. And then we do this together. Now, no student should be left with nothing to do in your class. This is a very engaging process. The students will transcribe a word list with you. So at this point, I transcribe, and they have their book, and they are transcribing as well. Angezogen. And then also, while their classmates are presenting, they have those identical word lists in their book that they are also following along and completing transcriptions for. So at the end of the class meeting, for students who are engaging as they should, they will complete 12 word lists plus the classwork. Is that good?
Yeah.
And then let's see, that ends your class meeting. So alternate activities, if you have time, you can call on students to name points of articulation using a phonetic model. And I love this one. Here's a recommendation. I need to exit Dave Siri. There he is. So I'm talking a lot with students lately since I've discovered a new method of charting vowels. It's actually published in the current issue of the Journal of Singing. I'm enjoying discussing the point of airflow for vowels. So I can run through all of these and point to them, and we can discuss, here's the nose gate. You need to have that lifted up so the tone is not nasal, and so on and so forth. We can discuss the flow of air and the articulators that contact. There's a lot of different options you can do with that. And also, I could mention some free resources on my website, if you like. And I could also talk about the setup, whichever you prefer.
Go ahead and talk about the sources on your website.
Sure. Let's see, instructors. So everything, most of the free stuff is on the instructors page. I'd love to introduce you to that. There are several books that are available on Kindle. Phonetic Readings and the IPA Handbook for Singers is combined in one resource. Are you able to see what I'm showing?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so both of those are combined in one resource as a Kindle book. It must be abbreviated. The Phonetic Readings, if you've seen it before, it's landscape format because of the charts and the way the charts have to be in a landscape format. So because of this expanded format, it doesn't condense well into a Kindle book. So it is a bit of an abbreviated version of phonetic readings, but it's the full version of the IPA handbook for seniors. And these books in Kindle format are so easy to navigate because of the links. And the singers, then there's also Singers Diction, or the Singers Daily Practice Journal, that's available as a Kindle book. And that's strictly a textbook copy of the book. I had to put it out there really fast, and it would be very involved for me to transfer that into the same version that I have up here for the Kindle books with all of the links in these books. These have live links to sound recordings. So those two are a lot of fun. And this one is the content that you need to get your class started. Of course, all three of these are workbooks. And then I've also got Singers Diction, which is a very, it's an independent study as well as a small class text of lyric diction and English diction. But it goes into a lot of detail discussing the transcription of the schwa, how to define this the precise pronunciation of schwa for English diction. So that's a brand new approach to English diction, and I think valuable to singers since we do sustain the schwa. All right, so supplemental resources, how the workbooks function in the classroom. This tells you my process of presentation-based teaching. It's based on what's called the Moore method. The Moore method is a math, I think it's a math-based, or it was introduced in I think in a math department in Pennsylvania, University of Pennsylvania, an instructor there started that. But anyway, it's based on the Moore's method. There's a little information there, a little more information there on that. I have my sample syllabus and Gradebook here. If you'd like to try that, that's a Word document that you can, it's fillable. You can change it the way you need to. Because I also love, along with all these tech ideas that we're shooting out, I love pen and paper. I mean, it's fast, it's right there under my fingertips. I go to class with a grade book and I write in there pass fail because my grading system is pass fail. So I have the sample grade book. There's one for French and German if that's how you teach. This one I think is for Italian and English in the first semester. This is for German and French in the second. And then all of these instructions that I'm talking about, the interactive online instructions that we're discussing today, are here on the website under this tab. And then I have syllabus schedules to help you decide which book you need. I mean, it really depends what book you use. It really depends on how much time you're given for each subject, for each language. How much time are you given for each language and which languages you cover. So these help you customize your course for whatever your needs are. And then there are vowel and consonant wheels to help students memorize the phonetic symbols. This is just a different way. I can show you a picture of it. Let's see if I can change this over. Well, no, you can click on these tabs and see it for yourself. It's a little too complicated for me to revert back to full screen. Okay, resources for the blind. The Journal of Singing is publishing my article. I've developed a phonetic system that is mutually accessible by both the sighted and the blind. So the sighted teacher does not have to learn Braille in order to communicate phonetics. So I've developed a phonetic system that both can use. The student uses a refreshable Braille display. So because of this device here, this refreshable Braille display, the instructors and students are able to communicate the same phonetic system. So it's a very intuitive phonetic system. It just uses uppercase and lowercase letters, along with a few punctuation marks. They're visually similar to standard symbols, so it's easy for the sighted to adjust to a new system. So what I have for this, I have the new system along with the chart for the sighted, the chart for the blind, and then 3 books that use the system. These are 99 cents on Kindle. And so they're intended for the singer with visual impairments. And they can read these books using their, oops, I flipped over to an example. Okay, so yeah, they can use their refreshable Braille display to read phonetic content. I also have a database of over 2,000 art songs in Italian, German, French, and they are all transcribed according to the new Braille phonetic system. So this prepares you to teach phonetics to your singers with visual impairments. And this book here, the Singer's Diction text, allows the singers with visual impairments to be incorporated into the classrooms. They're not left out. I love that about that. A few years ago at Vanderbilt, I worked with a singer and he wasn't able to participate in the classroom, and I thought that was so sad that I just didn't have the tools needed to allow him to be a part of the class. So we just invented our own, and it's been growing ever since. So enough of, I've gone on for too long probably.
No,
Okay, so
yeah.
our charts.
What about you put the charts, but you want to go to the listening example stuff too, but go ahead with the charts.
Well, yeah, these are charts and these are free downloads. We all need the schwa right now. Can we not be like the schwa? I know I need that. The schwa on the beach. The schwa. What is the schwa?
Unstressed.
There's a lot of confusion over that. The schwa says nothing. It just sits there and says, I am an undefined vowel sound in an unstressed syllable. All right, so then there's the listening page.
These are really useful. I use these a lot.
Yep.
I enjoy this, and I enjoy building these resources. So the first column is a spoken dictionary voice. Well, it's a live voice, but it's from a dictionary. Spoken example of each sound in each language. So we have to redefine the IPA according to the language. So this gives them how the phonetic symbols are precisely pronounced for each language. Then we also have to define the phonetics according to how it is sung, because there is a spoken version and a sung version. What's the difference between speech and singing? Well, we have more space when we sing. There are many different things between formation of vowels and consonants, well, mainly vowels, well, consonants as well, when we compare the difference between spoken and sung. So these are all recordings, clips of sung examples of each sound, and I'll give you an example of one. They all have phonetics with them. So here's one of them. So these examples are clips that have a frequent occurrence of the highlighted sound. I won't play much of this.
We can't really hear the audio on that.
Cheri.
That's okay.
So, and that gives you just an idea that the phonetics are right there as they sing each word.
And that's nice for students who are going to be new to online teaching, that they're not going to have to toggle between a YouTube, right? That this is, this is embedded in some of your resources. So that will be very useful.
And if you're in Zoom and you're sharing your screen, you can just pull that up and show it, as long as you're optimizing your screen sharing for playing the computer audio. Yeah.
I need to learn how to do that. How is that done? How do you optimize your audio and your...
Check out your intermezzo today that you got in your email box, and there's a link to a YouTube video from a professor in Scandinavia somewhere. Yep. Really short video that tells you how to optimize that and what settings to use for your teaching, especially if you're trying to teach some voice over that. There have been so many questions today about cutout, especially for high pitches and things like that. So I encourage you to check that link out.
And I posted it on NATS chat Facebook page. I've posted it on NATS Movers, and it's also in the intermezzo, as Alan said. So I encourage everyone to look at that.
I think also related, just a lot of questions about what's the name of this app? What's the name of it? Don't forget, for some of you might have joined us late, if you look down in your handouts, there's a little handouts tab, all right, on your screen. And there's a handout that Cheri put up there that has most of the locations of where you can find most of these apps that she's talked about.
I've tried to put it in the chat box as well as we've gone
Okay,
along.
great.
So let's take a few minutes though and maybe work through some of these questions, I think. But
Yep.
also, Dawn, as somebody who has taken it online recently and knows Cheri's books, and now having been on this chat, any pieces of advice or observations you have? Not to put you on the spot, but anything.
No, so I typically I have usually enjoyed, my class is a little bit longer class period, so I have 80 minutes. So what I've normally done for my students is assign, I have tried the assigning individual lists before. What I've tried this semester, just because of it's a smaller class, is everyone doing the same list and then we go through the list as a class. This helps for some students who are not super comfortable with presenting their work in front of others, and so we can work more together and help each other out. So that works for my particular class. But we do it on the DocCam, and we go through the homework and then we present the new material, and I present it through my PowerPoint. I really like that Cheri always includes IPA of popular repertoire at the front of each chapter. That allows us to then listen to established professional singing, and then analyze how that works lyrically. Of course, they speak through the text first, they intone through the text as well. They take turns. If they're not comfortable, then someone could speak with them. So there's different ways of adapting the class, but that actually has worked very well on Zoom. Because we can all see each other. I can have two of them unmute and speak together, or one of them speak at a time if they're comfortable. They can raise their hand and be a part of it and say things or not, depending on their comfort level. So just being cognizant of, some students are good at presenting and some are not, and allowing them to still interact with the materials as a class, but maybe more as a unit. But we do a lot of listening as well. I do at least 2 or 3 listening examples at the end of each class, and then to kind of tie with a bow everything that you've put so nicely in your units. So that's been really helpful as well. So we do the classwork, the homework, the new unit, the speaking, and then the listening, always as part of the class.
That's great.
And I've been able to incorporate more phrases in the newer editions because of advanced search functions. Just the computer has done so much to help me put these books together. So I can, for example, when you see the art songs that are suggested with the transcriptions, those art songs were specifically selected because they had the most frequent occurrence of the sound in that unit. And then at the end of the unit, you'll see phrases that highlight the sound. For example, Ividi chi dili is highlighting the E sound. So that's just simply computer search functions, really combined with my research for the phonetic system for singers with visual impairments. All of a sudden, I realized I have a new phonetic system that's mutually accessible. Then it also gave me research or search functions. So all of these things, all these resources are starting to tie together to help me build more things. And I think that's kind of exciting. So others might see these suggested art songs and not know why I suggested them. They're there, and those phrases are there specifically because they have a frequent occurrence of the sound in the unit. I don't know if people are aware of that, so I thought I'd mention it.
Absolutely. Yeah, you do a nice job of highlighting the letter and the IPA symbol that we're looking at. So it's very clear to me, and it's really a wonderful addition.
Alan, did you have a?
I was going to say we probably should talk a little bit about, since a number of us have students sing in class. So what are we going to do with that now? That component now. And of course, obviously, they usually sing with accompaniment. So, they may or may not have their accompanist sitting there, So a couple of things I'm considering are allowing them to make a video and send that to me, either, using a taped accompaniment that they can find online, or if they use, if they have the free accompanist download, they could use an accompanist accompaniment. We could even do that in class if we wanted to. I'm considering doing it in class a couple of times, maybe singing myself with accompanist or something else, just to kind of demonstrate it to them and get them comfortable with trying it, because I will do it and I will make a bunch of errors, I'm sure, trying to do that with them. So I'm also considering maybe them not singing a whole song, but maybe taking, giving, most of them selected their song with their teacher, and it's a piece that they were working on in the voice studio this semester. That's the way I've done it. And so so I'm considering, let's take a section of your song and record it, not worry about the whole piece, or even just singing phrases in class and letting them do it unaccompanied. There's nothing wrong with that if they can sing 3 or 4 lines of their piece unaccompanied. We're not, although it's lovely to be able to coach, the interpretation thing, that's not really why we're there for the class. We're there to see if they can, sing it authentically from a linguistic standpoint. So I think that's some things I'm planning to do relative to that. And of course, depending on the platform we're using, that can be more effective or not effective. So
something else that you can try is if they want to experiment with using tracks, right, obviously, and do YouTube Live, they can actually record themselves doing a YouTube Live that's an unlisted link, and then they can share the link with the class or share it with the teacher, and the teacher can share their screen, optimize the sound, and then everyone can watch it together as a unit as if it was being performed in class. That's also something that they can do. It's actually really decent sound quality on YouTube Live. And so that's something you could do in lieu of them actually singing in class. Zoom, you could mute everyone's microphone except for the singer and have the singer use some of the sound settings that you have in the latest, that you've shared with all of us in the latest newsletter. And then you can have more of the ambient sound, and they can use tracks and sing in class as well that way. So I think there's a couple of different options there. I think it's a good idea to maybe shorten it at the onset. So those are some other options as well.
Yeah,
and I like it that we are not lowering our standards or lessening the requirements. They still need to sing.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I think another person wrote a note about just reminding us to revise our syllabi for the rest of the semester so that our course expectations are revised appropriately, and our grading policies are in there, just so, that's our quote unquote official contract with our students for the semester. So it's something to consider. That's a smart thing to consider for sure.
Yep.
A lot of these things, of course, are applicable in the private studio. I mean, in so many ways. I personally think, because I teach a few independent students as well, that using some of the conversation apps could be really good for some of my students who I suspect maybe don't practice enough during the week. But just, telling them, okay, on Tuesday and Thursday, why don't you send me a clip of you singing, warming up or singing part of your piece, et cetera, and I'll respond to it. Somebody asked where you purchased the model of the cross-sected head that you use, Cheri.
Yes, I had to search for that. It is very difficult to find a model that has the lower jaw. What we usually see is the mouth that's closed. Let's see, I don't have it. I'll look for that. It's actually a dental model. So if you Google dental side view, you'll find more jaw because they have to work with the lower jaw.
Plural, Blue Tree Publishing also has some wonderful different, they have some new, like a rubber model that can just sit on your piano.
I have that on my piano. It's a nice
Several.
one.
Blue Tree Publishing, for anybody who missed
Mhm.
that. Great. Well, I
What
think
about ideas for asynchronous learning? People that don't have strong internet connections. Yep.
So you can either have a class with as many people that can join as possible and record it and share the recording of the class, just like what we're doing here right now. And then have the student also do the same thing where they're sending their homework in PDF or, emailing it to you ahead of time, giving them certain parameters for when it's due, depending on if they're in a different time zone or if they can't, they have different internet possibilities. So I think recording the class is actually a good idea. If you do go ahead and create a PowerPoint, you can annotate your PowerPoint, record yourself talking through the PowerPoint and put that on a YouTube link for them to watch later as well. So I think there's a couple of different options there if they can't actually be in class to record and allow them to watch it at a different date.
Someone also mentioned the fact that when you're using Zoom on your laptop, Zoom allows you to share the screen of an iPad using the Zoom desktop, even without Doceri. So
I need to learn how to do that.
somebody could do that if you're using Zoom on your laptop. That doesn't work if you're using it in some other fashion, I don't think. So
Alan, say that again. If you're using your
Yes.
laptop.
Using Zoom on your laptop to connect
Okay.
with your class, then you can, Zoom allows you to connect an iPad directly to the Zoom desktop, even without the series. So that might be a good, easy way to use the annotation app more effectively, potentially.
If it's simpler, then it's better.
So yeah, easier is better. That was
Is
Elisa.
there-
Thank you, Elisa.
Is there a particular document camera you recommend?
IPEVO. And
That's
there's a
all you
link
know,
to the one I recommend on the document.
Oh,
IPEVO.
Okay, and just the people that are left, that, you know what, and we will make sure that, I'm saying that, assuming Alan will figure out how to do it, we will attach to the YouTube link. I believe that we can attach.
Yeah. When we post the recording, we'll attach this handout there too, so people that watch the video can download that handout from there as well, somehow.
Well, I feel like we've gotten through, the questions, Alan, and it's saying, somebody just said that IPEVO is currently unavailable on Amazon, so just as a point of reference. I think you feeling like we've gotten through what we wanted to?
I think we've covered most everything, unless there's some, burning questions that people want to shoot in here in a minute. They can go ahead.
I was going to say that if you wanted, I think Cheri's grading model is really interesting, and I will definitely have to look into that. If you're in the middle of a particular grading model, and say, for example, you want a student to send you the PDF of their homework, if you have any kind of annotation ability on an iPad or whatnot, you can actually pull up their homework on your iPad and grade it.
Exactly.
Make corrections on it, and then just shoot them the PDF back with the corrections, the annotated PDF. So like if you use your iPad for music scoring, Fourscore has that ability, but even Adobe has that ability. And I think a couple of other like preview apps where you can preview a PDF and write on it, so you can correct as you would normally and send them back a graded homework assignment or a graded quiz or a graded test.
What about using Doceri on a tablet, Cheri? Do you know anything about that? I mean, non-iPad product?
I don't.
Okay. I think that was just a question somebody asked, and I don't either. But it's just something somebody might check into.
If it's that they don't have access to the equipment, They can go on eBay. I bought 13 iPads for approximately $20 to $25 a piece. The first generation iPad works. So I've been handing one out to all the students so that in the classroom, they can all annotate over my presentation. And I believe that this adversity will help us discover new tools so that when we go back into the classroom, we'll be ready to offer students even more exciting, engaging ways to learn. I plan now when I do go back to the classroom to use Zoom for my students to annotate, because Doceri was limiting us in some ways. There was some lag time, and I see no lag time in Zoom. So if, say, we open a Zoom meeting while we're in the classroom, the actual classroom, we have annotation tools for all the students. And that sounds like an exciting whole new thing to me.
Yeah, that's great. I think one last thing too is somebody asked a question about, students who are afraid to make a mistake in class. And my lecture at the very beginning of the semester that's the first thing one of the first things I say, is that we have to get over our fear of making stupid, silly sounds. We're all in the same boat here. You're being exposed to new languages that you have had little familiarity with. And so it's it's developing the brain pathways, all the coordination, the motor learning that's involved in acquiring these skills, especially in the sounds that are new to you or new to us as English speakers. Just, rely on us to kind of let our guard down and make silly sounds in front of one another, laugh about it sometimes, celebrate when somebody gets it right, when they've really struggled on a particular thing and mastering a certain articulation or something like that. So I found, at least for my classes, that's been effective. And, another thing is my class is a freshman year class. So all the freshman voice primaries come to me fresh, and they don't know any better sometimes that this is the expectation right from the front. It's not the expectation in a lot of classes, but I just try to set that expectation in that way so that they feel free immediately to make mistakes.
Great.
It's all vocal exploration, and it's all good.
All right, guys, we're getting lots of thank yous, so we appreciate that. And I think people are logging off. For those that are left, or for people that will watch the archive, just tomorrow night, for those teaching voice pedagogy in the academic setting, we will be having another special edition NATS chat, 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. John Nix, Kathy Price, Joshua Glassner, Nicholas Perna, and then Alan and I will guide that one again. So stay connected through the COVID-19. This is unprecedented. And I'm grateful. Actually, Alan and I have been too busy to notice the chaos that's going on. So I'm kind of grateful for that, to not really have to pay attention. But anyway, stay connected and get on NATS Facebook, NATS chat, and we'll keep the conversations going. Thank you, Cheri and Dawn, for joining us with your expertise. Really greatly appreciate it. And we'll say goodnight for now. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dawn and Cheri, if you want to stay on as